Greetings, everyone. I'm Eshin. I'm here again to introduce the 10th Zen Meet. This time, I went out on a limb and I introduced a sutra called the Myoho Renge Kyo Nyorai Juryo Honge, which means it's the wondrous, mysterious, splendid Lotus Sutra. The chapter is called Verse of the Lifespan. And in this, there are a few important things. There are some terms that come up. I speak a little bit about those, and there's some really wild imagery in the course of the sutra. It's not very long, and there are kind of two ways that I think people can relate to and regard the contents of really any sutra, but in particular this one for this time. Let's mention that. The first way is in the sort of metaphysical way, where it's sort of you're happily lost in the mystery. Oh, what a wonderful thing it is. And that can be great for those people who enjoy relating to or gain something from reading sutras in that way. That's perfectly okay. There's another way which is more pragmatic, a bit more, let's say, not pessimistic, but looking for the reality hidden in the metaphor and the stories and the sort of internal references to even more ancient stories. Those things are pointing us at how to live and what to do with the things that we see and experience in our daily lives. You may ask yourself, well, 2,600 years ago, this historical person called the Buddha, what did that life have anything to do with our modern life? You're talking to me on a camera on the internet. Well, I'll have you know. Now, the Buddha may not have predicted all of this technology in any substantive way, but the substance of human mind is unchanged. The problems that people dealt with then and since and now are at the root identical. And so I would implore you to listen with an open mind and see what happens. Everyone asks some really interesting questions. I was very tired. Still very tired. It's the same day. And the responses that I gave are just opinions. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I could even think completely differently if I answered those questions again. But I'm just going to put it out there. If it helps, take it. If it doesn't, don't take it. And if you want to argue, yeah, let's get into it. Leave some comments in the comment section down below, or write me an email at askeshin@gmail.com and say, you know, I heard that this might mean something else or something, and let's get into it. Because the only way we all get better at this stuff is if we hash it out. And in a loving way, we each polish each other like stones rolling down a mountain in a river. What a beautiful idea that would be. I mean, sometimes the bumps and scrapes hurt, but the end result is we all get more beautiful. So let's get into it. Enjoy. Since I attained Buddhahood, the number of kalpas that have passed is incalculable. Hundreds, thousands, myriads, and billions of long eons. Constantly, I have voiced the Dharma, teaching countless millions of living beings so that they enter the Buddha way. All this for immeasurable kalpas. A small aside, kalpas, it comes up a bunch here. Kalpa means, if you imagine, if we go on the working scientific idea that there was a big bang, and then all the matter in our universe spread out, and then cooled down a bit, and then things came together. Accretion happened in planets and galaxies and all this stuff, right? It takes a long, long time, ostensibly, and then eventually it all cools down and then sort of dies again, right? The universe coming and going. That is a kalpa. in ancient Buddhist terminology. So that word keeps coming up. So just need a little definition there. In order to liberate all beings, as skillful means I appear to have entered nirvana. Yet truly I am not extinct, ever dwelling here to voice the Dharma. I forever abide in this world, but use my powers of spiritual penetration so that confused living beings, though nearby, fail to see me. All those viewing me as extinct everywhere venerate my relics. All harbor feelings of yearning and arouse adoring hearts. When beings have become sincerely faithful, honest, and upright with gentle intention, wholeheartedly wishing to behold the Buddha, not begrudging their own bodily lives, then I and the assembled Sangha appear together on sacred Vulture Peak. Then I tell the living beings that in this world I abide without end, by the power of expedient means, appearing to be extinct or not. Other lands contain living beings, reverent, with faith aspiring. Among them as well I give voice to supreme Dharma. You who do not hear this only suppose I am passed into extinction. I behold the living beings drowning in the sea of suffering. Hence I do not reveal myself, but set them all to yearning, till when their hearts are filled with longing, then I emerge and proclaim the Dharma. With such pervasive spiritual power, for uncountable kalpas, I abide on sacred Vulture Peak and every other dwelling place. When living beings see the kalpas end, with all consumed in a great blaze, my domain stays serene and calm, ever filled with human and heavenly beings. Gardens and groves, pavilions and palaces, adorned with every kind of gem, and jeweled trees lush with flowers and fruit, where living beings delight and play. The heavenly beings beat celestial drums, ever making pleasing music, showering white mandarava flowers over Buddha and the great assembly. My pure land is not destroyed, yet all view it as ravaged by fire, so that fear and distress pervade everywhere. The beings vexed with their offenses caused by their unwholesome karma through vast rounds of kalpas hear not the name of the three treasures. Three treasures is an important one. It means the Buddha, teacher, uh, the teachings, the wisdom, the kind of the information that we can glean from observing nature and all phenomenon, and then the group of people that we do that with, the people that we practice with, the Sangha. So those are called the three treasures. But those who practice virtuous deeds are gentle, upright, and sincere. These all see that I exist, abiding here, proclaiming Dharma. At times, for the sake of that assembly, I describe Buddha's lifespan as immeasurable. For those who, after great length, see the Buddha, I now explain how rarely Buddha is encountered. Such is the power of my wisdom. With beams of insight shining beyond measure, this lifespan of countless kalpas was gained from long cultivated practice. You who are possessed of wisdom in regards to this, entertain no doubts. Cast them off, forever ended, for Buddha's words are true, not false. That's a pretentious line. Um, like the good physician who with skillful means, in order to cure his delirious children, although truly alive, spreads word he is dead, yet cannot be charged with falsehood. I too, as parent of the world, savior of all suffering and afflicted, for the sake of confused worldly people, although truly living, I am thought extinct. If due to always seeing me, their hearts become selfish and arrogant, dissolute and set on the five desires, they would fall into evil destinies. I always know which living beings practice the way, and which do not. In accord with what their salvation requires, I give voice to the various teachings. I ever make this my thought. How can I cause the living beings to enter into the unsurpassed way and promptly embody Buddha? Sounds kind of whimsical, no? This
I'm
is
pretty lost.
yeah. I expected as much. So this is separated into little kind of might call it a quatrain, little tiny 2 sentence. They're not really sentences. It's very poetic, but um, this actually written in Chinese. They're in 5 character sets. It sounds like "seison myoso gu ga konju mon pi bushi ga inen myoi kanzeon gu soku myoso son." It has this sort of rhythm to it. Makes it easy to memorize and to recite, and it sounds not terribly different when it's chanted in Sanskrit. This has a bunch of kind of wild imagery, and what it's about is seeing Buddha, um, but not not the human form or the a typically how do we say, not seeing Buddha in the sense that you would think you might see Buddha, but rather that when you look around in your everyday life uh, from the place of practice, that means doing zazen, doing this sitting still thing, that everywhere you look, if you're receptive to it, the Buddha is kind of there. There is a wisdom screaming at you. Ah, this is the nature of things. And if you can, mm, if you cannot begrudge, as it says in one line, if you cannot begrudge your own bodily life, meaning all the stuff, you know, brush your teeth, wipe your butt, and you know, clean your house sometimes, and then talk to your friends, go have a beer with someone, all of that stuff. You don't begrudge any of that, then it's possible to see the Buddha in all kinds of places, to see the point, the kind of the wonder of our lived experience. This seems obvious, right? When you think about living on a little ball in space and, a comet could come at any time and it's all over. It's a pup and what was it all for, right? If you think about it on that in that context, well, yeah, yeah, life is a miracle. Why not really like take good care of it? It's not going to be here for very long. It's impermanent. Um, but there are times when where we get confused and we can't see that. We forget how precious this is, this life, this moment, this situation we call me, and also the situation that everyone else calls themselves me. It's all very precious. And mm, mm, even though it says, since I attained Buddhahood, that means a clarified understanding through lots and lots of zazen. Since I attained Buddhahood, the number of kalpas that have passed is incalculable, hundreds, thousands, myriads, and billions of long eons. It's not I, it's not one person describing a self in the sense that we understand ourselves, but rather the idea that we are possessed of mind as any living thing with a conscience uh, is. We have the ability, or we are a manifestation of the ability to cognize ourselves and the universe. We produce everything inside our thought secreting organ that we can never really shut off, we can never really quiet down. And that coming to regard thought in a way that's in a healthy balance, that's not so concerned with ego, the kind of self protection thing, sort of accepting, not resisting circumstances, whatever they may be, then uh, that's sort of, we might say that's one way of becoming one with everything, and uh, that is Buddha manifesting in a way, or sort of Buddha is sort of a word that you would put in on a profound, mm, a radical acceptance being and all that it entails. And also accepting that there are other beings with and regarding them with compassion. Um, uh, one more line that's important here. Aside from lots of poetry and sort of flowery descriptions of things, because sutras, this is a sutra, are full of that kind of thing. And they have metaphor. You can read into that, and that's fine too. And also, you can sort of be a bit reductive and think of it more on practical terms. There's a story that is referenced in here, a really old story. Like the good physician who with skillful means, in order to cure his delirious children, although truly alive, spreads word he is dead, yet cannot be charged with falsehood. Um, I too, as parent of the world, savior of all suffering and afflicted, for the sake of confused worldly people, although truly living, I am thought extinct. Is uh, mm, so the old story is that there was once a doctor, and he had lots of children. He was really clever at healing people, and he had bunch of his kids kind of got into some stuff, and they ate something they shouldn't eat. That was maybe it was a medicine that he had in his house, and they got sick, and they started to get sick, but they didn't believe that they were getting sick. And he tried to tell them, you need to take this in order to cancel that. Maybe eat this medicine so it will clear out your body and you won't be sick. And the children refused. The children loved him. He was really a fun and playful dad. And so one day he's like, well, if I don't get them to eat this medicine, they're going to die. And so he left, and then he asked someone to go to his house and tell his children that he was killed. And he produced, basically, he told an elaborate lie to scare the daylights out of his children. And then he left this parting wish that his children take this medicine. And the I'm dramatically simplifying this story, but effectively what he did is he created a situation where the children were shocked, and uh, in order wanting to honor their father's last wish, they all took the medicine and they all lived. But they wouldn't take it because they wouldn't believe him when he was trying to explain to them, even though he was right. And so he saved his children by lying to them. But he can't be charged with falsehood because what he did was skillful. It needed to be done in order to save their lives. And this isn't like exactly a permission to tell a lie, but it's to say that not everything is so black and white. Um, and that even though the rule may be you must be honest, well, in a certain to some extent, you have to. It's actually more important to be skillful and be willing to see in a way that's not confined to black and white. And um, uh, parent of the world. I'm not so sure that translation, it sounds really nice in a certain way, but it sounds a bit, mm, I don't know, sounds very Abrahamic to me. But it's, it's savior of all suffering and afflicted for the is sort of a line that could mean that it's Buddha. It's not the Buddha saying, I, Siddhartha Gautama, the guy who lived 2,600 years ago, uh, am the savior of all suffering. No, 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 no. It's wisdom is the solution to all suffering. Buddha is not limited to a person, one person, or even a human form. Um, and that asks us to look deeper into what does it mean? What is it? Why might it be worth our time when we orient ourselves to stillness to conceive of, to sort of have some regard for, well, what is the meaning of someone encountering this practice and then wanting to encourage other people to study themselves through this practice too, to sort of cheer people on to come to a deeper understanding of mind. And though we think that the Buddha is long dead, well, he is, the Siddhartha Gautama is long dead. Um, the fact that someone lived and left such an imprint that has been sort of was really big at one time and has it shrinks over time because all things fall and fade away, and even this sort of doing zazen and being a monk and identifying as a Buddhist or what have you will also fade away in time. Um, it just even the smallest trace inspires people to, oh, maybe there's something there. Maybe I want to check that out, and that um, produces good effects. They diminish over time because important parts get forgotten. Just like in our daily lives, we forget stuff, or history repeats itself because people forget how bad it got or what kind of thing happened as a result of this sort of behavior. Um, but the fact that it was good at one point, that's always left. There's always kind of this little seed of hope, possibility. Oh, we could aspire to something. I've just planted a really wild seed. Anyone? Are you lost? You have questions?
I'm a little lost.
Okay. Well, so if the Buddha is not, it's the the Buddha is not a corporeal person. It's not just one person. It's not just any one thing. It's encountering nature and seeing deeply into it. That and what you glean from that observation, we might say, is dharma, or truth of all phenomena. And if you are receptive through lots of practice, or even a little practice, then you can see that everywhere you look. There's a Buddha. Uh, remember, if you remember, when I spoke about the six realms: the God realm, the Titan realm, the human realm, the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. Those all those six realms each have a Buddha in them, teaching something skillfully to the beings kind of suffering in those certain kind of mental states. There's always something somewhere trying to point a finger at, no, no, this is it. This is it. Look for it. You can see it. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. And that's asking us to stop, sit down, and just be here for a minute so that you can get out, get the body mind out. No separation. And self and other, get that out too. And when we do that, um, we move from moment to moment, um, able to more wholeheartedly, more completely encounter each moment, each phenomenon. Heavy. It's heavy.
I might be a little dense, but what is the connection about the story of like the doctor and everything with what you just mentioned?
Mm. um, the The
Is it
means
connected? oh,
go
Is it
go.
connected to the talk about? It seems like there was talk about whether it was immortal or not. Like that's what the is that what the story was about? Was it about immortality at all?
It's
Mhm.
it's it's sort of
Of the
It's
Buddha
about seeing
state?
it.
Rob.
It's about seeing
Yeah.
it for what it is.
Mm.
Like your kids are gonna die. That
Yeah.
is what's gonna happen. So like that is the Buddha. That is the teaching moment, not what you believe is like the morally right thing to do.
Mm.
The kind of idea or construct of what you think is right, which is you shouldn't lie, but just seeing that your kids aren't gonna die, and that you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah. And the sort of there's a flexibility. I mean, to put it in really practical terms, we have to encounter each um, moment skillfully, and we should be flexible to hmm, what's the right thing to do, even though on the surface it might be to always be honest. But sometimes you have to. Mm, mm, the right thing to do is to do this, and so maybe the father tells a lie, and um, and the kids might get frustrated. Why did he lie to us? If they find out later that he actually told a story about having been killed or dying, and then they took the medicine out of grief, trying to honor their dead father. And then he shows them. He's like, "Hey, everybody's great, wonderful. Let's get on with it," And they're like, "What, dude? Dude, you can't do this." Well, actually, there's a great teaching moment in there for um, once the children get past this simple understanding of right and wrong. And not this isn't a permission to go into like crazy gray zone. Of course, there are people who take that in that way, but that's not exactly the point. The point is subtler than that. Not long after we closed the Zen meet and said goodbye, I went to work and was sweeping at the temple where I serve, and it occurred to me a much clearer meaning of the doctor faking his own death to convince his children to take the medicine. I wrote it down, so I'm going to read what I wrote to you because I don't want to mince words. The doctor faking his death, leading the children in their grief to realize they refused to listen to him when he told them again and again to take the medicine, led the children to take the medicine of their own accord. This, more deeply, means the children realize the doctor won't come save them. They have to save themselves. And for us, the point becomes that we must save ourselves because no one else will, much less can they. Buddha isn't a savior in the hero sense at all. He's just the finger pointing to the way. For stubborn beings who refuse to listen, the Buddha tells a skillful lie, and it works. They do the work. They save themselves. If they need to realize how precious life is by watching the one they thought who was the hero die, so be it. It saves living beings. This is also my opinion. It's subject readily to being wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, back to the video. Sometimes when we get into a really difficult situation, someone asked me recently about being in a situation with people who don't get it and whose integrity is sort of empty or lacking in a certain way in a certain situation, like at work. And it creates discomfort. It's sort of it affects us, makes us suffer. But actually, sometimes we suffer because we have the capacity to overcome, to survive, to endure. And there's a gift there if you are willing to see it as a gift. And sometimes when we bring our integrity to it, I'm going to bend this a little bit from this story, but when we encounter the suffering in our lives that's being sort of perpetrated upon us, and we bring our uprightness, our stillness, and our non-begrudging to it, then what happens is, yeah, we might continue to suffer, but the people, this is usually people who are responsible for inflicting that struggle on us, have a chance to see that what they're doing is wrong or unhelpful or unskillful or causing suffering. But we can't use words. We can't yell at them over and over and say, hey, no, don't do that, it's bad. Don't do that, it's bad. This doesn't exist. They don't have ears. They're not going to hear it. But by bringing our uprightness to it, sometimes that's like letting go of our bodily safety with profound, radical acceptance and dignity. We create a more indelible mark in the hearts of people or groups of people who perpetrate unhelpful things, painful things. This might be resonant with our present times. That's not exactly the point. I would say this even if I would say this like 14, 15 years ago when America was governed by a different group of people. I might say the same thing, and it's important to regard that. But we can see it really like quite vividly right now in the United States, right? This is apolitical. This is a non-political thing. This is about the human condition. So don't make no mistake. However, given our times and present circumstances, this metaphor kind of it rings true, and it's about accepting our circumstances wholeheartedly, and that one idea of a Buddha is not the Buddha. The Buddha is something way subtler than that. It's not a person. It's not. It's almost not definable, and it's much better not to have a fixed idea. There's an old saying from another master in the last 100 years who said, if you see the Buddha, kill the Buddha. If you've seen the Buddha, you've grabbed onto the idea. You need to kill that, because your idea now prevents you from actually seeing the Buddha. This is really what that means.
I just lost the game.
That's fine. Sometimes encountering these things is sort of like it's like scattering seeds in a field. Some of the seeds will grow, some of them won't, and we don't know which ones will, and we don't know when all the time. So just be there with it. Just hang with it. Just let the seeds fall in the field, wait for the rain, and everything will work out.
I was actually referring to, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, first of all, for barging in.
Go.
I used to play this game with my friends where it's a simple game. If you think about the game, you lose the game.
Oh, yeah.
It started when I was like 18 with my friend JJ, and then it spread like with my family. It was just the thing, and it was triggered by what you had just said about help me out. It was a connection. The idea of like this thing being too big for like a person to teach. Someone has to be. When the reading was making me think like metaphysically and like comparing it to like the way that the Western religion deals with having, like, you have to have something outside of life to teach it, because the lessons are too great for someone who is embodied in the thing to teach. Right. So it's like it takes Jesus outside of, it has to have some kind of the eye can't see itself. It has to have some kind of metaphysical thing outside of it. So the whole idea of like, the things that I have to teach are so heavy that it would freak people out too much if I were like in life, but also we're able to understand. You can't understand it when you're in it, right? Is that part of it?
That is one of the blind men encountering the elephant.
Yeah.
Rebecca, do you know that story about the 6 blind men encountering an elephant?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that comes up in Buddhism in several different places, and so I like to refer to that because the thing that all of this points, all of this, like literally 100% of all of the Buddhist talk and these crazy flowery sutra stuff, all this content is pointing us at the fundamental truth that the mind itself is Buddha. But what a Buddha is not different from what a Buddha does. To borrow a phrase from a famous, let's say, mid-century philosopher, it is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you'll miss all that heavenly glory. Points for anyone who knows who that is. Who said it?
Was that Bruce Lee or something?
It was Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Do you know what movie he said it in?
No.
Hint, 1973. 1973. Enter the Dragon. The point in that story was pointing at this thing, literally pointing straight at this thing. In fact, that was supposed to be set in the Shaolin Temple, which is the temple that was effectively where Master Bodhidharma practiced for 9 long years in a cave after he came from India to China. And, he's regarded as the father of Zen. So, yeah, all of Bruce Lee's philosophy is rooted in Zen. It's a Zen thing. It's the finger. All of it is the finger pointing to the moon. So, mind itself is Buddha. But Buddha is not different from what Buddha does. How do we embody Buddha? This is a real question. Play with that. Anybody got anything? How do we embody Buddha?
Get ourselves out of the way.
That's one blind man. Do we have another?
Try not to deliberately cause suffering in somebody else.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's another blind man. Anyone else?
Letting go of control or preferred outcomes.
Yes. To borrow a phrase from another religion, amen. Yet another blind man has been spotted. Anyone? Bueller? Brandon, what do you got? I know you're thinking. You've always got something.
Just be yourself, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's we spend so much energy, so profound. That English sucks. Hold on. We use so much energy in our lives. If you add it all up, it would be astounding. Trying to protect ourselves, trying to protect our identity, and actually, even in the worst of situations, well, one way to regard that is, does anything ever happen to our identity? Are we ever actually damaged?
Very real question.
Well, it is a kind of a real question. I mean, there's like, okay, we could, mm, not to be reductive of sort of, people enduring the phenomenon we call trauma, but a bad thing can happen to us. And then it leaves a pattern of thought that is really difficult to put down, or a knot in our thoughts that's really difficult to untie. And we may carry that around for an entire lifetime. Our patterns may get skewed, our choices may get skewed because of that binding. But that's just a pattern of thought. Even if your arms and legs have been cut off by a person ignorant of doing the right thing, and we are changed, our ability to live our lives is changed. To be confounded by it, to be to give away our dignity to that phenomenon is, it's just thought. Let me read one of these lines back again. Where was it? Ravaged by fire. Where is that line? My pure land is not destroyed, yet all view it as ravaged by fire, so that fear and distress pervade everywhere. The beings vexed with their offenses caused by their unwholesome karma through vast rounds of kalpas hear not the name of the three treasures.
Sounds like hell.
It is hell, absolutely. But where is hell? What is it? That's the practical question. Where is hell? Is it downstairs?
In the mind.
In the mind, yeah.
Yeah. Nowhere else. And as soon as hell only works when you don't realize that you're in hell. The moment that you sort of go, oh, I'm in hell, is to become still. The afflictions in hell become only the afflictions in hell. If you understand on not just an intellectual level, but on a whole level, a radical root level, the impermanence of all things, then hell ain't so bad. In fact, it might be a great place to practice. Better than heaven, I think. Who wants everything to be easy? What's fun about that? And when you're in heaven, there's only one way to go. It's down. When you're in hell, there's only one way to go. It's up. And this is who is a really good example? In our lifetimes, well, not our lifetimes, but our recent lived history times, Mahatma Gandhi. Everyone knows who Mahatma Gandhi is, right? He was shot. Someone tried to kill him. Eventually he was killed, but at least one time he was shot, and he lived. Does anybody know what he did after he got shot? Besides go to the hospital and get treatment. What did he do when he got better?
I saw the movie.
Saw the movie, yeah. Ben Kingsley. It's a good one.
Do you find the person who shot him or something? And
yeah. What did he do to him?
He like washed his feet or something. He did something like, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great. I mean, yes, he probably actually washed his feet, but that's a metaphor. It's a deep, deep metaphor. He washed the feet of the man who tried to kill him. What a thing to do. Anybody, Rebecca? Do you remember when the Pope was shot? Do you remember what he did?
Forgave him, went and visited him in jail and
Yeah,
forgave him.
there's
Yeah.
a really famous picture of him giving him like a hug.
Yeah.
Something like that, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, it was radical. I am pretty sure that for another really great person in even more recent history, well, maybe the Pope was which Pope was that? That wasn't John Paul,
John
was it?
Paul.
It
Yeah,
was
it
John
was
Paul?
John Paul. Mhm.
Oh, conservative old coot. He still did a good thing. But I contend that Martin Luther King, had he lived from having been shot that time, he probably would have done exactly the same thing. Going back and getting pissed about it, sure, okay. But actually
There,
getting
there was somebody else that attacked him, and there was another story with him that ended that way.
yeah,
There's a
was it
story, yeah,
a
with
knife?
him. I don't remember. Somebody attacked him, and I think he noticed him at another thing later. I don't remember exactly what the story was, but it is a story that illustrates what you're saying.
Yeah. It's really important. And I mean, yeah, okay. Having an assassination attempt on your life when you're sort of when you're campaigning for an important cause is one thing. That seems really like, oh yeah, everything is heavy and high powered. But actually, that's us in our daily lives. In every encounter with struggle to untie the knot, we have we six folks here today, and the several other people who come sometimes, and all the other people who are sitting with their monk friend in all the other places around the world where that happens, have an opportunity because of our willingness, our vulnerability to sitting still and dealing with our bodily lives, not learning, practicing, not begrudging our bodily lives to encounter this kind of radical truth that there is a completely different way that we can be. And we have to stand upright. Those of us who are willing to try to pay attention have to try to be upright. That's sort of like part and parcel, right? That's the spontaneous. My supposition is that that's a spontaneous wisdom that arises when you sit still. Sounds crazy, right? All it is just sitting still. But it all comes clear pretty quickly with repeated visits to stillness, what the right thing to do is. And people who get stuck in their own afflicted, they're living in a hell realm, and they don't recognize it yet. They don't even have the words or the structure of thought to compartmentalize. Oh, this is where I am. This is why my situation is like this. This is the nature of the situation I'm in. You can't see beyond it. A limited view. Sometimes a mistaken view. Usually it's ignorance. That's a good way to explain how people get stuck. And we have an opportunity to be beyond that. And by being beyond that, because of our willingness to not begrudge our own bodily lives, not to resist circumstances, not to be thrown off by outcomes that we couldn't have predicted, then other people see it. Maybe even more than seeing it, they feel it. This is one of the profound fruits of orienting ourselves to stillness. it's like dropping a pebble in a pond and it spreads ripples. They get smaller and smaller as it goes, and they get muted by other ripples or lost in the fray. But to some extent, in the near radius, it has a positive effect. It calls everyone who encounters all of it to see themselves. It becomes a great mirror. It is, even though lots of people may think the Buddha is dead and gone, a Buddha is not different from what a Buddha does. And when we orient ourselves to stillness and then encounter all things and all people from that place of stillness, we manifest Buddha. Whether or not someone can see it immediately, that's a different question. It's difficult to see and rare to encounter. But it's happening. It's there. It's off in the corner of their eye. Planting a seed to, it doesn't have to be like this. Not everyone has to be confined by this limited view, whatever that limited view is. Weird stuff, right?
What do you mean by orienting yourself to stillness? What is stillness? Is that like I don't know, yeah. Can you say more about that?
Sure.
Is
Sit
that
down.
like having no thoughts and like acting intuitively? Or is it
It's not having no thoughts. We can't turn off the thoughts. The organ will continue to secrete thoughts. It's not begrudging that is a bodily fact. So hold that over here. That's one. Orienting ourselves to stillness is sitting down, adjusting your body, and not being moved by whatever you see, smell, taste, touch, or hear outside, nor the conceptual objects of mind on the inside. Every thought, every material thought of any object or thing or interaction has an emotional component kind of stuck to it, like a nucleus and electrons, neutrons going around and all this. I might be getting those parts mixed up, but there's a core, and then there's a sort of a orbiting body of emotion. We can have the core, we can have the emotions, but we don't have to be lost. We don't have to take the emotions. We can just say, oh, that's an emotion that has, all thoughts have that sort of thing. I'm having that emotion, but right now I'm just sitting.
So it's almost like having a willingness to endure your present situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one. One blind man. Do we have another?
I always thought of it like did you give me this metaphor for like a piece of music, like the moments before, immediately before and immediately after, like a concert pianist playing a recital in a the blacker or like a blacker screen makes the colors look brighter, sort of. I always think of it as sort of deepening your black, deepening your silence, so everything becomes more vivid.
Yeah. That's one more blind man. Do we have another? If we take the fact that thoughts never stop, we can't turn them off. But then we understand that, to borrow a metaphor from music, Rebecca's children actually, her older son was a trumpet player and was a student of mine way back in the day, and her younger son is now a busy composer. So
Also one of your students.
yes, so the wonderful, wonderful old connections. Well, to all of you, but the in music, everything exists within what? All the parts in music exist within
Time.
with what?
Time.
Well, time. Now, what is time?
A structure. All music has a structure.
It has structure. Yes. Space, emptiness. The thing can only exist in juxtaposition to what is not there. So a sound, ba, only exists in contrast to what was not there. Silence. So silence is the base of everything. The coming and going creates a rhythm, and we organize that into structures, and that's fun too. But even no matter how noisy something is, actually the emptiness is always there. No matter how much noise there is, actually most of it is empty. And so too is all phenomena throughout the entire universe, and every universe that has ever existed. No matter how hard you try to imagine otherwise, everything is fundamentally empty. Space. These are the voyages. And that's to say that, okay, we got thoughts. Okay, we got emotions. Orienting ourselves to stillness is, in one way, never separating ourselves from the fact that actually, no matter how noisy it is, actually it's all empty. But not nihilism. It's not a destruction. If you begin to destroy it in your head, then you're not really abiding in emptiness. And there's also a little bit beyond that. I may have discussed this with some of you, that it's doing and not leaving anything behind. Experiencing and not leaving anything behind. It's like the campsite rule of your mind. We monks are described as entering a realm of non-doing, particularly Zen monks. This is a reason why Zen monks drink a lot of alcohol and smoke a lot of cigarettes behind the monastery. One of the senior monks I trained with at Eiheiji, at the temple founded by the founder of Soto Zen, recently got kicked out of Soto Zen for touching the buttocks of about 20 young women in one go. An incredible feat by any measure. How on earth do you? Okay, yes, there have to be consequences. There have to be consequences. Society just won't stand for no consequences for that. And even if society wasn't paying attention, he would be beaten by his seniors. I thought he was quite upright, but this is a little bit aside of the point. But the thing is, no matter what you do, if you get stuck, if you are vexed, hold on, let me read it again. The beings vexed with their offenses, caused by their unwholesome karma, through vast rounds of kalpas, hear not the name of three treasures. If getting vexed by your actions, that means like worrying about the outcomes, worrying about what's going to happen next, worrying about what will happen because of what happened before. Oh, I have to go to work, or I have to go to a job. I'm going to get in the car. Ooh, the time is a little close. I'm worried I'm going to be late. So you speed. Of course, that's playing with fire. But the moment that you gathered all of the things that you needed to carry with you to go to the thing, the time that you arrive has already been decided. Very little that you do will actually affect the time that you arrive. Very little, actually.
I don't know. I can shave off 10 minutes to get to the get to the north side if I want to.
Yeah. Yeah, but the
Sorry.
largely,
Yeah.
yeah, largely, and to do something, whatever it is, whether without the judgment of good or bad, and not have this anguish afterwards, is not doing, is karmically free, karmically empty.
So you're trying to leave no trace in yourself, but
That's right.
then yet still have a ripple effect on others?
Yeah. But the only way we produce that ripple that does have an effect on others is not trying to have an effect on others. It's a wily conundrum, but it's when we don't try, the effect is the greatest. Bright and empty. That means this. Bright and empty, functioning naturally. The mind doesn't exert itself. We don't have to exert. We don't have to try, actually. Just do. And that's enough. And then when it's time to deal with whatever it is right here, deal with it. And then when you're done with it, put it down. The next thing comes. Why worry about it? Why worry about not finishing? Okay, I think that's a good. I've yammered enough. Anyone feel like you got any last questions? Okay. Orient yourselves to stillness. If you really, don't think about the game. Don't lose the game. Thanks, Nick. I like that one. If you orient yourself to stillness, then actually noticing that you're playing the game can still be done from a place of complete emptiness, a place of complete non-doing. And so even though you're cognizing the thing, it's still a non-dual activity. You're not separated from the activity itself. And it's really mysterious and subtle activity. But that emptiness, that orienting to stillness, puts us in radical touch with ourselves. And then you are able to receive yourself and then use yourself. And from moment to moment, all the things that you have come and go, and you're okay with it. And then other people around you will feel it. And even though you notice, you're like looking around, oh, it's having an effect. You're not really, you can even rejoice in the effect, but you're not holding on to the effect. And then the effect multiplies as ripples go broader and broader. Okay.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Take good care, everyone.